So as of uploading this now, it is 11 months and 26 days since the release of Avengers Endgame. Meanwhile, The Falcon and Winter Soldier is slated for release on Disney Plus in approximately
104 days
in August. Unless production gets halted thanks to the coronavirus, that is. Let's see how much that dates this video. As we all probably know by now, and if you somehow haven't seen Endgame or heard about it, spoiler alert, Captain America Steve Rogers goes back to the past, Dragon Ball Z style. Yeah, seriously, Dragon Ball Z style.
You see, when I travel back to the past, I'm technically going to a different universe.
Oh, you mean multiverse theory?
Wait, what?
Yeah. With every decision, it creates a branch in the timeline. Whenever you travel back in time, you're actually entering another parallel universe.
Same logic, same rules. Seriously, Endgame time travel is not that hard to figure out. Steve Rogers time travels to return the Infinity Stones to their proper places and respective timelines. But when he returns to the main MCU causality that we're familiar with, Steve Rogers decides to take the most scenic route possible, meaning he returns as the world's most patriotic AARP member. Not wanting to leave the world without a Captain America, Steve brings back a hefty souvenir, his signature vibranium frisbee, previously broken by the man behind the slaughter Thanos, and gives it to Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon, effectively passing along the mantle and title of Captain America to him as well. Now this is a sweet character moment and all that, but it doesn't really make any sense. Like at all. Yeah, that's right, I'm one of those people. I'm Team Bucky. Let me tell you why Bucky Barnes should have received the shield. First. So first off, Bucky Barnes receiving the Captain America shield has been foreshadowed several times throughout the MCU. Once in First Avenger in the train fight, once again in Winter Soldier during the street fight, and in a deleted scene if you want to count that, and one more time in Civil War, when Bucky Barnes and Steve Rogers gang up on Iron Man to beat him within an inch of his iron life. Buckard Barney even has the same set of skills, strength, and powers as Steve Rogers, both being products of the Super Soldier Syrup. Excuse my pessimism, but how the hell is Mr. Owen 1 against Ant-Man himself, Sam Wilson, supposed to hurl that damn thing with the same effective force as a juice-up Superman? We actually see Hawkeye through the shield in Avengers Age of Ultron, so why couldn't Falcon throw it? Bitch, I ain't saying he can't throw it. I'm pointing out how a normie like Sam Wilson will never be able to throw that thing as well as a roided-up Superman who could bench press a chopper. You know who else is a roided-up Superman? Bucky Barnes. Alright, sure. The ability to eat the shield with a force-fit semi-truck is a non-issue. Having a physics-defying metal disc being chucked at you from any strength is still pretty combat effective. Superficial talking points, but that is far from our only one. The real root of the nonsensical decision-making on Steve's part comes from how long Steve Rogers has known Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson respectively. Let's look at the tail of the tape, shall we? Counting end credit stingers, Winter Soldier appears in person for 6 MCU films. Falcon? Also 6. Both Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, I argue, share 3 films with a considerable amount of time with and developing their relationship with Steve Rogers. That's 3 films where the audience gets to actually see the character relationships and dynamics play out, and I'm a firm believer in show, don't tell. However, unlike Falcon, Winter Soldier has an entire film dedicated to his relationship to Steve Rogers. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Now I hope you're all ready for some Scott Steiner math. Thanks to events that occur in First Adventure and Winter Soldier, backed by the Marvel Cinematic Universe Wiki, we can determine when these characters met one another. The earliest we can prove Steve Rogers met Bucky Barnes is October 18th, 1936, at Steve Rogers' mother's funeral. Meanwhile, Sam Wilson is shown to be having met Steve Rogers during their jogging rituals during the opening of the movie Winter Soldier, which we know, once again, thanks to Wiki, happens on January 8th, 2014. Meanwhile, the actual instance of Steve Rogers passing down the shield takes place on October 23rd, 2023. So, if we crunch the numbers, we can determine that Bucky Barnes and Steve Rogers have known each other for 87 years and 13 days, while Sam Wilson has only known Steve Rogers for 9 years, 9 months, and 23 days. Are you confused yet? Because it's about to get more needlessly convoluted than the plot of Kingdom Hearts. Thanos teaches the universe how to scratch it on May 31st, 2018, turning both Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson into a coarse, rough, and irritating substance that gets everywhere. The Hulk reverses the snap with his own snapback, No Not the Hat, on October 17th, 2023. So while Bucky Barnes has known Steve Rogers for 87 years and 13 days, and Sam Wilson has known Steve Rogers for 9 years, 9 months, and 23 days, both spend 5 years, 4 months, and 18 days of those times dusted.
And then
We also have to consider that Steve Rogers goes under the ice and spends almost 70 years in a coma. Steve Rogers crashes the Valkyrie into the Arctic on February 5th, 1945, and reawakens on October 8th, 2011. Bucky Barnes falls off the train and is presumed dead the day before Steve crashes the Valkyrie. Steve Rogers spends that time comatose, reawakening in 2011, and only learns of Bucky's survival as the Winter Soldier on January 10th, 2014. So let's crunch the numbers once again, shall we? Chronologically speaking, Steve Rogers has known Bucky Barnes for 87 years and 13 days, but has spent 68 years, 11 months, and 6 of those days estranged, be it whether he did not know of Bucky's survival in modern time or Steve's coma. Steve Rogers has known Bucky Barnes for 8 years, 3 months, and 18 days before estrangement, and 9 years, 9 months, and 21 days post-estrangement. So Steve knows Bucky cumulatively for 18 years, 1 month, and 8 days. And Falcon has known Steve Rogers for 9 years, 9 months, and 23 days. So that's the grand chronological duration of their relationships.
And then...
If we want to discount the 5 years, 4 months, and 18 days both Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson spent vaporized, we can calculate that Bucky Barnes has been friends with Steve Rogers for approximately 12 years, 8 months, and 21 days. And Sam Wilson has been friends with Steve Rogers for 4 years, 5 months, and 5 days if we subtract time dusted and comatose. Boy oh boy, was that needlessly complicated. Just the way I like it. The too long didn't read of it is, Bucky Barnes has been childhood friends with Steve Rogers for essentially 13 years. And Sam Wilson has only been friends with Steve Rogers for approximately 4 years. And now, for the icing on the cake, there are essentially 2 whole movies dedicated to the relationship between Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes. Want to know how many movies where the central emotional conflict of the story is the relationship between Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson? 0! Time and time again throughout the MCU, be it Steve willing to die in the climax of Winter Soldier rather than fight his friend Bucky, or essentially let the Avengers faction dissolve and be labeled a war criminal rather than abandon Bucky in Civil War. We as an audience have been shown just how important Bucky is to Steve Rogers, and their relationship has been explored in depth throughout the films. That mixed with foreshadowing and simple history between characters, why wouldn't it make any other sense than have Bucky Barnes carry on the shield and the mantle of Captain America? It is solely logical, and it flies in the face of years and movies worth of storytelling and foreshadowing. But despite this, my real disappointment lies in what could have been. And the choice to give the shield to Sam Wilson opposed to Bucky Barnes ruins this. The ramifications of Steve Rogers giving Sam Wilson the shield and mantle of Captain America and not Bucky Barnes kills so much interesting storytelling and character growth. Now, a common argument I see in defense of Sam Wilson receiving the shield over Bucky Barnes is even an argument backed by the directors of Endgame themselves.
Yeah. And Bucky, look at the thing we've loved exploring about Bucky is he has a very complicated history. He has a damaged mind. I don't know you want to hand a very powerful weapon to somebody who is vulnerable like that.
That argument is usually some vague nonsense about Bucky Barnes being mentally unstable. And to that I say, gee, you mean a character with organic and interesting character flaws that would make for a compelling protagonist with the ingredients for an amazing character arc to be completed? We already know that we'll see both Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson return to the MCU in their own Disney Plus series. So it's not like Steve Rogers passing down the shield was just a sweet character moment with no long-lasting consequences in the MCU. We will see Sam Wilson acting as Captain America. Or Falcon America, if you will. Just think of all the potentially interesting, complex, and emotional storylines just being left on the table to spoil and rot by not making Bucky Barnes Captain America and subsequently the protagonist of their series. Think of it like this, if you will. Bucky Barnes is the still struggling and unstable former commie Soviet murder assassin, who despite having been brainwashed and controlled against his will by the evil Hydra, still feels the guilt, the horror, and the responsibility of his past sins. Despite this, his best friend, Steve Rogers, who has always believed in him, never giving up hope to save his friend and goes to damaging lengths to prove his innocence. This same friend, who has helped save the world from certain doom several times. Be it Loki's bootleg army of B-1 battle droids from the Phantom Menace, or the Tin Man's army of Angry Roberts, Bucky's greatest and truest friend bestows the towering honor of Captain America and the responsibility of carrying on his friend's legacy onto him. What's Bucky going to say? No! Not wanting to disappoint his friend's essentially last wish, Bucky accepts the role of Captain America to honor Steve's legacy. Bucky goes into their Disney Plus series, serving the title of Captain America as best he can, given his history. Alongside him is his new friend and mutual friend of Steve Rogers, Sam Wilson, aka the superhero, the Falcon. Falcon serves as his sidekick of sorts, but less of a sidekick and more of a heroic mentor, an emotional supporter figure for Bucky throughout the 6-episode miniseries. But no matter how many crimes Bucky stops, no matter what good he does as Captain America, Bucky simply cannot shake his demons. Bucky struggles to put his Hydra-laced past behind him. He feels a sense of shame that someone like him, someone who served an assassin for the very nemesis organization of Captain America, could someone like him truly do the mantle of Captain America justice? Is his history a shameful dishonor to the legacy of Captain America? Bucky Barnes struggles with his identity. Is he disgracing his friend's legacy by continuing on as Captain America? But luckily for him, his new friend Sam Wilson is there to help him, there to reassure him. Sam reminds Bucky that what happened to him wasn't his fault. The victimization of him by Hydra happened a long time ago, and he's free now. Bucky cannot give up. His friend entrusted his legacy onto him. Despite this, Bucky still wrestles with what it means for him to be Captain America. What it means to be Captain America. Does Bucky deserve it? Does Bucky bring honor or shame to the mantle? What does Steve's choice say about him? Guess who else is confirmed to be returning for the Disney Plus series? Baron Zemo! Gee, an interesting character with a long-established history and direct connection to our would-be protagonist that would make for a perfect antagonist? Finding Zemo has a direct and personal connection to Bucky Barnes. He knows how he ticks, he knows how to get inside his head. He is the one who led the Avengers to delusion and caused much grief for Bucky Barnes in Civil War. Zemo can malevolently tap into the psyche of Bucky Barnes like he did in Civil War, weaponizing the same doubts, fears, worries, and insecurities that have been permeating through the story so far, as well as plant further doubts and feelings of unworthiness to spread in Bucky's psyche. Nemo's mental manipulation is able to bring Bucky Barnes down to his emotional knees. How about instead of directors just telling us Bucky Barnes' mental condition in some off-brand interview, they show us his mental condition in the confines of the show's universe as a story. Show, don't tell! Despite the grief Zemo causes, Sam Wilson is able to save Bucky Barnes, reminding him of who he is, and Steve Rogers as well as Falcon's own belief in him. Together, they are able to team up and defeat whatever Zemus's plan is, and foil whatever evil shenanigans he's up to. Bucky Barnes is able to overcome Zemo, growing quite a way along his hero's journey. But his arc's not quite complete yet. And now, for where things get even extra disappointing. You could have absolutely had the best of both worlds! With Zemo defeated and after being able to best Bucky Barnes one way or another by exploiting his doubts and weaknesses, Bucky's character arc is about to be completed. Throughout the first season, we will have seen Bucky Barnes struggle along his hero's journey and identity as Captain America and what that title means to him, with Sam Wilson along his side for the entire journey, helping him with his struggles, crime fighting, and reminding him of his worthiness as Captain America. This is where Bucky Barnes finally realizes his legacy and just what it means to be Captain America. Not wanting to give up his responsibility as Captain America and let Steve down, but finally understanding his predecessor's desire to continue the mantle of Captain America after his departure and do the right thing by its name, Bucky Barnes surrenders and passes down the shield and the mantle of Captain America to Sam Wilson, just like Bucky Barnes' predecessor did for him. Bucky Barnes sees Sam's level-headedness, his righteous hero's heart of gold, the same heart, that of Captain America. It is what it means to wield the shield, and to Bucky Barnes, it is what it means to be Captain America. It means to do what's right and to see the good in others. Bucky knows he couldn't have accomplished his heroics without Sam Wilson there guiding him. Bucky knows he can honor the legacy of Captain America by passing the title down to a worthy successor to continue the legacy and to bring honor to the mantle. Just like Steve Rogers did, Bucky Barnes passes down the role of Captain America to his new friend, Sam Wilson. But since this is Disney and the mouse breaking into your house is allergic to interesting storytelling, a recurring theme for them, we'll get to that, don't you worry, we will never likely get to see anything along those lines. Everything I've gone over, the magnificent tapestry I've painted for you all, will almost certainly go unrealized and unexplored. But what actually lies in wait for Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson? What story will they actually give us in light of this? As it stands now, thanks to dirt sheets, rumors, leaks, etc., etc. Oh yeah, possible spoilers from here on out, by the way. The alleged plot of the Falcon and Winter Soldier miniseries will be about the United States government not respecting and recognizing Sam Wilson as a new Captain America and the new American hero. According to rumors, there's also currently a character simply known now as U.S. Agent that will serve as a poser hero to instill morale. Hey, that's cool. We've never seen a normal person pose as a superhero to inspire morale and set a positive public image for the United States government in the MCU before. Wait a minute.
What happened? Just one guy. You could have crushed him.
No, he couldn't. He doesn't have inhuman powers. He doesn't have powers at all.
Okay, still. Could be interesting, but where does Bucky Barnes fit into this narrative of the government not wanting Sam Wilson as Captain America? Where does Zemo fit in? Well, according to the same leaks, again, spoiler, Zemo is going to implant microchips into the brains of US agent and maybe other superheroes to control them. And to that I say, huh? So they'll do a plotline of Zemo using some uninspired Deus Ex MacGuffin to get into the heroes' minds and control them, but not his previously established ability to use psychological manipulation and warfare and exploiting pre-existing character flaws in interesting, meaningful ways. As discussed earlier. Great, phenomenal. At least it's in line with his motivations for Civil War, I guess? Okay, whatever. I know it's still early, and maybe all those leaks are false. I kinda hope so. As of now, Falcon and Winter Soldier has yet to debut on the Disney Plus network, and audiences have yet to consume it! And it's entirely possible that Falcon and the Winter Soldier could be better than I could possibly imagine, and could put everything I proposed to complete shame. But I'm gonna be completely honest. This is modern day Disney. I am not holding out any real hope, especially if these leaks are anything to go by. I sincerely doubt the Falcon and Winter Soldier could be as good as I can imagine it. After all, this is Disney, who despite making up well more than 40% of the whole media industry, commit 80% of disappointing and shameless cash grabs.